learned the first Maimon, which is only Rashi Prakim, that the Rabbi said Shavuos night after Tikkun Leil Shavuos at dawn, and this is the Maimon of the next end of Shavuos, the Farbrengen of Shavuos. So Yom Beis the Chag HaShavuos Tavshin Chav Gimel, 1963. Yeah. Let's begin. Vidat, the pasuk says, "Vidat hayom." You should know today, "Vashavos elavavecha," take to your heart, "Kavayo likim," God, He is Lord in the heavens above and on the earth below. Ein oid, there's no other. Here, the pasuk zeh behemshech al mashakos abel minay. This pasuk in Pashas Veschanon comes behemshech to what stated earlier. And what stated earlier? Atar Yisaladas. You have shown us to know, Kavayo likim. God is Lord, and there is none beside Him. The Koi, that pasuk, when did He show us to know that? Al Zman Matan Torah. This is a reference to what the Yidden experienced, what we experienced at Matan Torah. K'mavur betanya, like He says in Tanya, She'oz Horei So Mamesh, He showed us, B'ri'iyah Chushis, they saw this with the sense of sight, not just with the neshama, but the body was experienced the revelation of godliness. That's the pasuk that precedes this one. Now the pasuk in this one now continues. Because of Vidat Hayom, you should know today. So therefore, this raises the obvious question. So the Alter Rebbe asks in Lekutei Torah, on Parshas Veschanon, what's added by this pasuk? Said already before that you showed us to know Havayu Olikim. It's repeating it. So what is he saying further? You should know today, and take to your heart. Same thing. You just said it. Yes, that's the question of the Alter Rebbe in Lekutei Torah. Adding, in light of the question the Alter Rebbe asks in the beginning of Shar Yichud, which also begins with this pasuk. Ask the Alter Rebbe Tzarich Lahavi. We have to understand what the pasuk is saying. The pasuk says you should know today and take to your heart that God is Lord in the heavens above and the earth below. There's no other. By saying you should know, take to your heart, especially the words "take to your heart" means it doesn't go to your heart so easily. You've got to take it to your heart. It's a difficult concept to grab, to internalize. Ask the Alter Rebbe, would it occur to anyone that there is another God in the earth below, or soaking? The earth below means soaking in the subterranean waters. A person would think there's another God there. That the pasuk has to warn us and prepare us and warn us to such a degree. She'll take it to your heart. It's obvious. What's the pasuk saying? So in light of the Alter Rebbe's question, we're adding to our question. The fact that the pasuk is prefacing this Kavayu Olikim, which is already said in the previous pasuk. And now it's saying again, you should know, and not only is saying you should know, but because this is difficult, makes that question even stronger. It was stated earlier, and it's obvious. If you believe in God, there's one. It's not saying believe in God. You can't command that anyway. But if somebody does, obviously there's one. But can't have two gods, can't have two infinites. Where does one end and the other one should start? Implicitly in the notion of God is one. So that's what he's asking in Tanya. Is it so difficult? You have to take it to your heart that there isn't another one soaking in the earth below. So it makes our question stronger. He said it already. Why repeat it? And why repeat it with question's clear. Also, what's the point today? You should know, obviously, today, every day. What does the pasuk have to say? And that's going to be the key to understanding what the pasuk is telling us. Yeah, we're clear on the shy list. Let's repeat the questions. Only one question. What's the question? Basically, it's one, and that is,
Why does it have to repeat it?
It's repeat, yeah. Repeat what? What's repeating what? Correct? What's repeating what?
To know that there is a God.
Yeah, God, He is Lord. So it said already earlier, and then He added the nuance. Not only is it repeated, but that you've got to take it to your, the first time you don't have to take it to your heart. That goes in easily. Now they're saying the same thing, that I've got to take it to your heart. This is difficult. And finally, a third question. What's the diuk hayom? Rebbe explains of hayom, that in fact this word today, this in fact is the introduction. It's a meditation that one needs to think about, that will deepen or enable us to understand the meaning of Havaya Olikim, which obviously means more than God, He is Lord, which elsewhere in Chassidus, the question is raised, what does that even mean? God, He is Lord. What does even that mean? At any rate, that's all part of it. Like saying God, He is God. What are you saying? So this is all be understood by first appreciating what's being conveyed by the word Hayom, today. What is a day in halacha? A day includes also night. It doesn't just mean daylight. It means a 24-hour period that includes darkness. Where do we know that from? It was evening and morning one day. Day includes night, evening and morning. Night and day. They become one day. Not only that, so that's big news, that a day, even though Yom is usually associated with the light, but the fact is that it includes also darkness. But moreover, that the night actually precedes the morning. He's quoting here from the Gemara, the famous Gemara there. The Gemara in Shabbos. It's a very strange Gemara there, that one of the Amoraim saw that I think it was his father-in-law, was in a good mood, and you could ask him anything he wanted about creation. And the question he asks are like, and one of them is why the ewes follow the goats when they this all the questions he had to ask about the riddles of life. He asks this. Of course, it's very deep, and we're getting a sense of it. And the answer is, he says to him, because they're dark and they're white. So the light ones follow the dark ones, like creation. First was night and then was day. We'll get a sense of what that means now. So when the sheep walk, so they walk first the dark ones and then the light colored ones. They're mirroring the way the world was created. But first dark and then light. What does this mean? Now, plunging directly into what that means, b'pnimius. Why was it created that way? Why was it first night and then day? Because the first step in creation is in fact the tzimtzum, the great contraction that conceals, veils, screens, removes the great light. Silum vehelem legamri, the tzimtzum arishin was a complete removal of the light, chashoich, which created a matzav of what? Of chashoich. Can you tell me, anybody, how does the h'tshk, which is a quote from, describe this matzav of chashoich? What's created? What's left when the light is removed? That too, but that Rishim is the chiddush, notwithstanding something. There's also Rishim. There's also a trace of the light, but the overt change is the word, the big word, Netzchayim.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Cholol, an empty space. Cholol, a mokum pony. What's the difference between that? Cholol means a hole, mokum pony in an empty space. So it all begins with tzimtzum. These words, again, are very simple, deceptively simple, and were misunderstood. Were misunderstood by Gedolei Yisrael, the tzimtzum, as the Rebbe addresses in Tanya. So the beginning is what h'tshek v'hu koidem lamshachas v'giloi hakav. Nohir, and the tzimtzum precedes the emergence, the revelation of the kav, of the beam, or the ray, or the projection, another word, of divine light. That's nohir. So the point is just established now that a day includes darkness. Moreover, darkness precedes the day because that's how existence emerges. First the tzimtzum, and then in this mokim poner, cholol, this empty space. It's all, again, the language is very deceptively simple and open to gross misinterpretation. But all we have is language. So in this empty space, Hashem projects this beam or projection of light. That's the kav. Kav means a line, and all of Seder Shtalshalos is points, as it were, levels on this kav. How does it begin? Erev and then boiker. Tzimtzum, then gilui. Conclusion, clear. Understanding is something else, but just get the technical geography, whatever imagery you have in your head. We'll start with that. Let's continue. Now, wait a minute, asked the Rebbe. If you're going to the very beginning, it doesn't start with the tzimtzum. First is the light, the Ein Sof. That's how it begins the h'tchk, describing what was/is pre-creation. In the beginning, he says the Ein Sof filled everything. So the beginning is revelation, not tzimtzum. Then came the tzimtzum. So why are we saying the beginning is tzimtzum? That's the question now. And even though the very beginning was not the contraction, first has to be light, of course. And so the light filled the space that was later to become the empty space. Again, what does that mean? But that's all the language of the h'tchk. And then there was the tzimtzum. Okay, you do as it's known. Furthering the question, the way things work above, the order of the divine, as Hashem expresses himself is. This is a quote from Zohar, which we've encountered many times. What does that mean? So moti means to anybody remembers what just the translation? Touch or reach. Touches or arrives, touches and doesn't arrive. There doesn't, yes, no. This is a Rotz of Shuv. We learned this at once at great length about the whole nature of time and how time emerges. What time means, Lamaila. I wish I remembered it myself, but just some memory, does it trigger any memory of the mind we learned? A few years ago already now. At any rate, so this is the Seder, it says there in the Zohar, it's a Zohar on Parshas Bereishis, that the beginning is revelation and then withdrawal. First revelation, then withdrawal. That's moti v'le moti. V'imkein, so that's what we need to know. That's what these words mean. First revelation, then pulls back. So v'imkein, so now we're asking, why are we saying now that the beginning starts with tzimtzum? No, it doesn't. It starts with oy, with revelation, moti, revelation, and then withdrawal. So what is that? We quoted the Gemara. The Gemara said, creation begins with first darkness and then light. No, it's light, darkness, light. That's the question. Clear? But the answer is, it looks like a very elemental mind, my friends. Like he explains it, in the Hemshech Mabad Meshvos of 1944, which is a time of great concealment. Shagam, greatest concealment. Shagam ba'agila da'erin sof. So here comes the big news, friends. It's very subtle. Number one, Eve. So in the true taka, the big very first stage is revelation, is oir. Erin sof filled with the mokim acholol. First is moti and then loy moti. However, in that revelation at the very outset, shagam ba'agila da'erin sof yesh kavon desat tzimtzum. Already the divine intent there is not revelation per se, but that this revelation should be contained, that you and I should be able to receive it. The kavon of the tzimtzum is integral to the Gilui. It's not God strutting his power, the show of his divinity. That's not the point of the revelation of the Ein Sof. The whole kavana at the very outset is the dir b'tachtonim, as the Maimon will say, and that is because he wants us to know him. In order for us to know him, has to be tzimtzum. Can't overwhelm us. Doesn't want to overwhelm us with this Ein Sof. So already in the Ein Sof, already there, latently is, what's the whole point of this? Is the tzimtzum, that it should be revealed in such a way, there should be spheres and description we should understand and have a relationship. Clear? Huh? Yeah, because the inyan of tzimtzum chashoicha is already integral to the Gilui. I just want to point out that this is like, we're all the fortunate recipients of Deir HaShvi's Maimarim. But just know that going back a few generations, and certainly in the Mukubalim, I mean, obviously it's there, the whole purpose of Rashi, opening Rashi, the purpose of creation is B'shvil HaTorah, Beis Reish is B'shvil HaTorah, B'shvil Yisrael. But, it's an important but, when you learn Kabbalah, it's intentionally so. When we speak about the high madreges, it's like, we only emerge at the end of Ishtalshalus, and then, there's a, hello, what are you doing here? Okay, so there's a Adam, he's got to do mitzvahs, but he's dwarfed by the grandeur of Ishtalshalus and high in Ishtalshalus and the Ein Sof, and that's where the sense of that's where reality is. There, not here. As much as Kabbalah began, Arizal began already, the big chiddush of the Kavan is Lamata, but this is so counterintuitive that the Kavan is not Lamaila, but Dafka Lamata, and puny, putrid, you and I, putrid. We come from a putrid drop. And this is the whole Kavan of everything that is like shocking. And it emerged slowly, this understanding and appreciation of Dibur Achtonim. It took 7 generations and longer. We are all now, kids are brought up with the Dibur Achtonim. And the MS even for us. So it's a lot. The Dibur Achtonim is, have to elevate the world. No, it's you. Even for us, it's like me, Taka, the whole thing. It's my little Machshav Zodas. And my mice and my dibur, that's the whole kavanah sabri of the Ein Sof and Atzilus and Akudim, Bavrudim, Matan Torah, and even for us, it's like can't be. Doesn't happen. So the Rebbe is hammering it home at every Maimer. They're actually bringing it down also, because there's tremendous resistance also Lamaila by divine design. Tremendous resistance to this essential truth that the kavanah is you and I. Just why at every point the Malachim is a howl of protest. Matan Torah and Yutis Kislev and the Rebbe. Whenever there's a new like Hamshach, the Kavanah is here. No, what? Kavanah is Shemayim, heaven. This is pure holiness, Kedusha. Not this fragmented, stinking world, but no, this is what the Kavanah is. Of course, it's so counterintuitive. The Kavan is Oir, holiness, transcendence, not Chashoicha. The Tzimtzum is already there in the Oir. Kavan is the Tzimtzum, the Tachten. It's already there in the first Gilui. Big news. Who would have thought? You see what I'm trying to say? We still grapple with it. It's the Yetzer Hara's biggest tool. I'm just a little nobody, but such a big difference. Don't make it. What am I? That's humility. That's the ultimate abuse of humility. Completely wrong place. Let's go further. So yeah, 2 lines from the bottom. The even in also and especially in the Gil of Ein Sof, the whole kavana is not to be a revelation in Ein Sof and overwhelm and dissolve us out of existence, or in the face of which we are nothing. That's not the point, but rather kavana satzimtzum. The Eibishter wants that his presence be known by mortal finite man lemata. It's only when the Eibishter will contract his gilui that he will be able to be revealed to us. We can know him. And also there's a very subtle point. I pretend to understand it, but he's saying something else now. Not only is, what do you say? That in the Giloi, there's this latent intent. Why make Giloi? Because I want to contract this as God so that you will know me and emulate me, and there'll be a whole Seder of Spheres, and you'll be created in my image. Citing that, Gam, HaGiloi Atzmo Yebeoifen Kazeh She'i Atzimtzum. The Giloi itself, the revelation itself, is revealed in such a way that it will be amenable, that's the word, and say it right, to the tzimtzum. In other words, as if to say that in that Giloi, don't be impressed with Giloi. Nobody needs you. The whole point of the Giloi is that there'll be a tzimtzum, there'll be a yid, a matan, do a mitzvah. Using that in as I say, comic terms, but that the Gilui itself is saying, as it were, revelation. Why am I here? Why am I revelation? To reveal the Bli Gvul. Bli Gvul has a mile in itself. No, the Bli Gvul itself says that my whole point of Oyer and Gilui is that there should be a Gilui to a Yid Lamata, and a Yid Avodah should reveal godliness down here in this world, and that needs the tzimtzum for all that to happen.
Is that to say that, is he trying to hint that there's a tzir in the air before the tzimtzum?
Yeah,
to a certain extent.
Language, I know what you mean by that, but the answer is yes. That
it's not a real bleak vul. It's a bleak vul.
It's a blig vul that carries kavanas ha'atzmos, and therefore in the blig vul is also gvul.
There's like the potential or the knowledge that tzimtzum is coming in the.
Let's rephrase that. Yes, what everybody's saying is correct. Let's try the McGill student. Like what are you saying? So God is revealing Himself. So as God reveals His infinite power, already God is saying there, as it were, and not lost on it as we probe its depth is, this is Atzmos revealing Himself for one purpose, to be known by As Lamata. And that means that this Oyer is going to undergo a profound contraction to give rise to Ishtalshalos and Sfiris. And therefore, even in the Oyer itself, let's rephrase that. So then Bli Gvul already there lays no claim to the exclusivity of godliness. What's godliness? Bli Gvul? No! Atzmos is higher than Bli Gvul and Gvul, and there's one kavanah. And the end will be that they will be revealed fully in perfect harmony. Even though you have to appreciate that the way he's Lamaila, it's Bli Gvul, and the Gvul is latent, but he's laying it bim. It's at kavanah Atzmos. It's at kavanas ha'atzmos, Bli Gvul and Gvul are all equally Him. One is not more Him. From our perspective, Bli Gvul, and meant to be this way, is more and Gvul is less. When it's at Atzmos, it's all him. It's at the Eibishter, it's all him. So in the Ein Sof B'Pnimius, the Ein Sof is saying, overtly, I'm expressing infinite, but Atzmos expresses himself equally in finite, and the kavanah of this infinite, it should be expressed in a finite way. In other words, just because what the Rebbe is doing here is revealing Atzmos in his Ein Sof. This is the Eibishter revealing himself. So the Eibishter revealing himself, Bli Gvul, that's exclusively God. Gvul is just as much God as Bli Gvul is. And that's B'oifon Kozeh Sheyat Tzimtzum. So the Bli Gvul itself, it's God revealing himself, carries with it the whispers, a whisper of the Eibishter. This is a choice to reveal infinite and finite. It's all equally him. And this infinite revelation will undergo a finite metamorphosis in order that he be known by you and I Lamata. And that's all him. And that's Havaya Ulikim. That's what this pasuk is saying. So he's going this mind. That Havaya, Bligvul, Ulikim, Vul, Cheshech, Erd is all him. You see this in one sentence and go to sleep. The whole point of the mind is to understand this in nuance and carve it in the head. I say carve because that's what happens when a person thinks deeply. Literally, it makes kamatim. It says, in Chassidus, it makes pathways in the brain. The brain that the person didn't toil in is smooth, relatively speaking, and toiling like a muscle becomes. Okay.